Hello, everybody. This is Chloe. I have been gone for a long time. This summer has been a real transformative summer for me. I needed to take time to figure out what was going on with my health. We had a bunch of relatives coming from out of state for vacations in July, and then between all of that, I had jury duty, and I had been going to the doctor, a naturopath, and getting mammograms and blood work and all kinds of crazy stuff this summer. I guess not crazy, but like mental health and I guess physical health things needed to be taken care of. As you know, if you follow my channel back in April, I was kind of really becoming very fearful of eating because I was always in pain half the time. Um, Trying to eat out with my family is hard. They have totally different cravings and needs that I can't eat anymore. And especially my wheat sensitivity is a big problem. I don't need full gluten free, but I do need non wheat as much as possible. I'm not allergic in the sense that I get anaphylactic shock or anything like that, but I am wheat sensitive. I don't know if it's IBS or just whatever. All I know is that when I eat wheat, I get swelling, my intestines become very painful, even my stomach, and then I can't think clearly. I have all these different symptoms that go with that stuff. So I tried intermittent fasting, which evidently had an awesome side effect of getting rid of my breast cysts and clearing out my lymph nodes and all that stuff through my system, and that has added a level of living pain free in that area anyways has cleared my mind a lot because I have sensory integration issues. When I'm in pain or something is out of sync in my body, it really distracts me, and it's a lot of mental fatigue between the ADD, between the sensory integration disorder, between my own distractions with my empathic uh, just knowledge that comes through me and dealing with people who have issues all the time. I really focus a lot on trying to just let things flow through me, but I feel that um, when I wasn't able to have my lymph nodes and everything clear correctly, I believe I was kind of getting stuck with other people's energies and illness stuff too. That's kind of part of the empath thing is you're sensitive to lots of things, not just on a spiritual, energetic level, but on a physical level as well. And I mean, this summer has been a lot about me getting my freaking act together to really take care of myself and acknowledge that I really needed to just stop eating um, animal products. I needed to stop participating in that agriculture, in that industry, all of that, because my body doesn't respond well to it, for one. For two, I have always felt very emotionally conflicted and just sad whenever I eat animal products, be it the liquid or the flesh part of that. And I even hate using the term animal products because it's basically eating animals. Period. Any type of animal derived um, things that they put out for food is just not healthy for my system. I know other people can live fairly healthy on it, but for me, for a long time, I knew I always felt better when I ate closer to vegetarian or vegan than when I was inclusive of, especially things like beef. I cut that out of my diet way back when I was right around 19. I actually was vegetarian for a number of years. And when I say vegetarian, it was, I guess I was a lacto vegetarian. I actually quit eggs for years and years. It was only in the last couple of years that I started eating eggs again, but that was in an effort to make up for not eating quite as much meat anymore. And I had been leaning towards going pescarian to get back into vegetarian eating. But I have been finding as I have become more lactose sensitive, I mean, honestly, I already, like people say it's so hard to change from dairy. I'm like, Well, yeah, I can see with the cheese, especially with all this great new information that the advocacy vegan advocates have been doing, the vegan abolitionists, all these people putting out awesome information, doing demonstrations, sharing the behind the scenes videos of what really happens in the slaughterhouses and how animals are raised and treated. All this stuff is really good information, and I had been pretty aware of it for some time and always felt personally conflicted because I had been around the better parts of the animal industry, which is, the backyard chickens being raised and treated very well. And, they still, I agree, are slaughtered and used for their menses and all this stuff for their body parts, all this stuff. And I always felt conflicted. I was the one when it came time for prayer, especially in the Mormon households that my husband's family is Mormon. My mom, technically, part of my family on that side is Mormon. We also have Lutherans and Jehovah Witnesses and Baptists. I have got a gambit of Christian faiths amongst my family. And if nobody else wanted to pray and I volunteered to pray, well, I'm pagan, so I don't pray exactly like everybody else. But I was raised Christian, so I know how to do it. But I always included a gratefulness for the animals and plants and sacrifice. And that always brings the mood down. um, they always felt, I had been told by a relative, it's like having a loaded gun in the room. And I'm like, the gun's already gone off. All that plant, all that animal food, all that animal um, resourced food, if you want to call it animal parts and flesh, the gun's already gone off. I'm just acknowledging the gun went off. And that's the difference between me and them, is that I want to give respect and acknowledgement for the loss of that life in order for us to eat. I call it give a sacrifice they gave, but they said, well, it wasn't a sacrifice. They didn't choose to be killed. I'm like, I know, but at least it gets the point across that somebody lost their life so we could eat. And in the native traditions, they actually can have a belief, or maybe they just tell themselves, I don't know, that if you're hunting and somehow you do are able to be successful in hunting an animal, that animal sacrificed itself for your benefit, that somehow its soul was pulled to be a sacrifice for the benefit of your kin or yourself. They have it's far more beautiful the way they put it. I'm not the best at words all the time, but I have always had a great respect because part of those indigenous teachings is a respect for the animals they kill. The way they kill the animal is as quick and respectful as possible. There's no lingering. There's no, they don't butcher the animal before they know for sure that it's dead. There is a level of respect that isn't included in the slaughterhouse um, factory farming aspect of animal agriculture. It's just not the same. We have this idyllic view of it when we're not educated on it. And I agree with all those people who are doing the advocacy. Once you know, then you can make a choice. Now, I have always been aware on different levels. My issue was when I went into vegetarianism the first time. I'm leaning towards vegan. Really, it's just there weren't a lot of great alternatives for cheeses when I went vegetarian the first time. And now I understand that I was addicted to cheese. So that was why it was so much harder for me to give up dairy completely. I stopped drinking milk. I just had a harder time giving up the cheeses. And when I was younger, I still ate yogurt part of the time, but I gave up pudding pretty early. I haven't eaten a lot of that stuff in over, I want to say over 5 years. I want to lean towards 10, but I think it's probably more honest to say over 5 years because um, my body started becoming reactive. I think I was always reactive. I just didn't realize how reactive I was to it because I had been raised thinking that dairy's good for you. It helps your bones and all that other stuff they tell you about dairy when they're trying to encourage you to eat it. Now, I have become a huge lover of the rice cake with peanut butter and banana. and I usually have it with a glass of almond milk. I've already had one rice cake with banana, half my banana, and now I'm eating the second half still, because it helps. I can't eat thick foods. I have a very small, tight, um, I don't know what it's called, the air pipe and where your food goes down. Mine is very lean, very small. I have to chew foods very, very well. And if I don't, I have to have a liquid nearby to help chase it down, to help loosen it up. And peanut butter is very problematic for me because it's very sticky and it can definitely get caught in the throat. Um, so I have to be careful. So I have not only my almond milk, but I have my bottle of water nearby at all times when I'm eating thicker, drier foods. Okay, things that are sticky, things like that. I I've always been an animal lover, and um, between my now full on wheat sensitivity, um, the fact that I've always been dairy reactive, lactose sensitive, all that kind of stuff. I have agreed when the first time around, I really understood that when I found out that eggs were a chicken's menses, I couldn't eat it anymore. I even though I wasn't so sure about tofu scramble and all that stuff, I tried it. I ate it. It actually the texture is pretty good, and if you get the right blend of herbs and cutting in some, put it even just salsa if you're not good at chopping vegetables, put salsa in it with maybe a chaser of ketchup. And it is such a great mixture. Oh my gosh, I used to love that stuff. And then I was concerned about my estrogen levels because I've always had really heavy, hard cycles and that depressive PMS stuff going on. And now I know since I've lightened and cut out and like I've been having to slowly cut out and get rid of things in the household that had cheeses in it because I figured out through all this great education you guys are sharing out there about veganism and the effects of these things that I had an addiction to dairy. Though I wasn't drinking milk, I was eating a more concentrated form of the chemical that's in dairy that urges calves to go drink from their mother. And it's very addictive. And in the human body, it's just as addictive of, say, something like coffee or what have you. That's why cheese is so hard to give up because it's like a double, triple dose of that chemical. It's very concentrated. I'm sorry, I can't remember the word of what it is. Maybe if I look it up, I'll put it either in the box or somewhere. I don't know. But you can look it up. There, it's highly addictive. It's as bad as someone being addicted to alcohol or drugs or what have you. There's food addiction, and cheese is one of the worst. I can tell you, it's been the hardest one for me to do. But when I realized, when I read about that, when I saw it, I was like, oh, is that what's going on? Because I had stopped cheeses several times, but I get the craving so bad. Cheetos is one of the worst, best and worst foods out there. It's a snack food. It's gluten free, so that was good. But then on the other side of that, it's cheese, and that's bad for my cholesterol. And I have always had high cholesterol, as far as I know. Of all of especially in my late 20s, even then I had high cholesterol. I've had high cholesterol for a very long time. Um, and I feel like I only gets really truly better when I'm eating plant based. And all the science backs that up. But I don't know that I'm ever going to get skinny. I'm at the point where if I just lose enough weight to be more comfortable in my body, I'm going to be happy about that. Don't know that I feel comfortable being skinny. And I have certain associations with massive weight loss that I'm not going to talk about in this video because it's probably something I should have in a different video because it's almost a whole nother issue or sub issue. But I just want to say that I guess this is kind of my coming out thing that, hey, I've gone vegan, not just for health, but because I had always been pulled in this direction, but I found my social living environment and the availability of alternatives hard to access a good deal of the time in the different areas I've lived in. And even right now, I live in on Washington. And you would think there's a lot of easy alternatives, but when you are wheat sensitive and dairy sensitive, um, It's harder to live vegan because so many of the meat replacements, or even the some dairy replacement foods have stuff in it that I can't eat. And so I have to do like the whole food plant-based, and I'm not the greatest cook, so I'm learning how to cook in a totally different way. And my food is very messy, but I feel like it's very rich and good in that sense. I'm just still learning how to season it well, how to cook it long enough or not too long, those kind of issues. And a lot of the foods that I crave are not really foods that my husband and my boys crave. So I'm having to experiment and make multiple levels of food for different people. And I'm finding it a very fatiguing process. But I think that's just because of my own mental and physical situation. When it comes to my learning issues, my fit energy levels, and um, my ability to interact with food in a way that doesn't cause pain or suffering in my own body. Now, I am a total believer. I'm gonna actually stop right here and do another video on this part, so there's gonna be a second part because I don't want this to get too long. I see we're at about 16 minutes or so. So let me end here and start another one if you want to continue watching. I'm gonna talk about the spiritual, energetic exchange of food. Okay. I will be right back. Uh, give a thumbs up or thumbs down. Tell me what you think. Add your thoughts to the comments. Bye bye.